Ava Brown, and the course is Confronting Oppression and Injustice. Today we're going to be talking about a critical concept called anti-oppressive practice. Anti-oppressive practice is born out of a number of different approaches to social work, including structural, ecological, and really is appropriate for the postmodern skepticism that we practice social work in now. What postmodernism really suggests is that the meta-narratives, or the stories that we've always believed, the large stories about society, are not necessarily true. Although they may hold some truth to them, that really our individual experiences determine how we understand society. So there's several concepts that I want to cover which really speak to the nature of anti-oppressive social work practice. The first is that macro and micro social relations generate oppression. Oftentimes we believe that oppression is a large amorphous cloud that hangs over a particular situation. However, oppression is a combination of macro level situations as well as micro level situations. An easy way to understand this is to know that structurally, oppression lives within structures. However, oppression is often enforced by individual interactions and social norms. The second is that everyday experiences are shaped by multiple oppressions and resistance. Now, we don't often walk around the day recognizing oppressions and or resistance to oppression. However, with an anti-oppressive practice framework, we recognize that clients, constituents, communities, and organizations have both experiences with oppression as well as experiences of resisting oppression, and that is the norm for most people as they go through life. The third is that social work is a contested and highly political practice. Notice that this is small p political, so I'm not referring necessarily to the political process as we know it in our government and or legislation. What I'm referring to is that the things that happen to us on a personal level are often very political or tied with issues of greater societal context. So social work is not a neutral profession. Social work is a profession that engages in the spaces that are often controversial and not necessarily uniform in terms of belief or ideology. Like I said, social work is not just a neutral caring profession, but an active political process. Social work is one part the interpersonal interactions with individuals to therapeutically intervene into situations with individuals and families, but is also concerned with reforming society in a way that allows for the most people to benefit and allows for those that are marginalized and oppressed to have opportunities that are currently denied to them. Social work goes beyond the scope of just making things better to recognizing and identifying problems both in the individual, family, community, and societal context, and then designing interventions for those different realms. Fifth, social justice-oriented social work assists individuals while simultaneously seeking to transform society. While you may be a social work student who is planning to be a clinical practitioner, you will still receive information from your clients that will influence the way that you think policies should be shaped or societal intervention should be shaped or resources be made available. Regardless of our field of practice in social work, we must always be concerned not just with the conditions that are in front of us based on our client concerns, community concerns, or legislative concerns, but also thinking about how can we impact structures, how can we impact systems to ameliorate some of the conditions that are causing stress and or challenge for whomever our client is. Sixth, social work needs to build allies and work with social causes and movements. Social work we are not going to be successful as social workers if we only work in our silo, if we only communicate with one another. Interprofessional practice is very important to social work. So for example, in medical settings, social workers do not work in isolation. Social workers work with doctors, nurses, and various administrators in the hospital to ensure patient care. Similarly, a social worker who is working to change policy does not work solely with social workers, but also works with attorneys and business people and interest groups and constituents. The point here is that social work is not a profession that works in isolation, but social work rather is a profession that builds bridges to various industries in order to orient them to the value base of social work and to motivate them to create the kind of change that we wish to seek, whether in clinical or macro practice. Seventh, social work's theoretical and practical development must be based on the struggles and needs of those who are oppressed and marginalized. This is critically important because if we do not remember those who we find on the margins, those who we feel are oppressed, then social work has really lost its way from its original conception. Social work was designed and started as an effort to integrate people into society who had been marginalized by society. And so it is our professional imperative to ensure that when we are looking to create social change, we are paying particular attention to those who are marginalized and those who do become oppressed as a result of systems that are not addressing their needs or not being inclusive. Eighth, participatory approaches are necessary between practitioners and clients. This is one of the ways that our profession is distinctly different from other professions, particularly in the clinical space. Social work is a partnership, and anti-oppressive practice requires that social workers engage with their clients in partnership to solve problems, to create interventions. So social work is a participatory approach that engages the client, community, family, or society in the change that it is trying to bring to fruition. Ninth, self-reflexive practice and ongoing social analysis are essential components of anti-oppressive practice. Self-awareness is key to social work. In social work, the social worker is the instrument of change. And so it's very important for that instrument to be fine-tuned and to understand itself. If we are going to engage in anti-oppressive practice, we must first take a look at ourselves to recognize our own biases, recognize the stereotypes that we hold and the beliefs that we hold in order to challenge them to align with the code of ethics and the values of the social work profession. Now, this does not mean to suggest that as an individual you must believe everything that another social worker believes, but it does create the imperative for social workers to be able to work fairly and competently with any group of people in any circumstance. So self-reflexive practice and creating a consistent way to reflect on self-awareness and reflect on how you are engaging in social work is absolutely critical to being an anti-oppressive practitioner. And last, a blended heterodox social justice perspective provides the best potential for politicized transformative social work practice. In other words, social work is not a one-shot silver bullet kind of experience. Social work is a profession that is going to learn from many different theoretical perspectives, different industries, different sets of expertise to create and design solutions to societal problems, to individual circumstances, and to challenges within families and communities. Social work is going to take from sociology and psychology and anthropology and many different disciplines to formulate the true practice, the true purpose of anti-oppressive practice. So these are the 10 components of anti-oppressive practice, which we will be learning about throughout this course, and this was a primer to get you ready for that. Thank you.